Jesus, scared me that did.
I didn't watch a documentary.
No. So Dave obviously hasn't watched the documentary because
He's
here before us, to be fair. Jack's here, he got stuck in a beer garden last night but managed to get up. Dave was at his own beer garden at his own house.
Yeah.
Turned up. I didn't have a beer garden party.
You don't live, you don't.
What?
You don't enjoy yourself, you don't.
I do.
You don't.
Mate,
do old man things.
If I had like 3 beers I wouldn't be here now.
Yeah, you have to do like, because you don't enjoy yourself.
Anyway, get this right. Sure. So, we're going to tackle the rust here today, aren't we, Dave?
We are, mate. And here.
So, been shopping, got myself some rear chassis legs. The copies, but that's all I could find. Like I said, we did look on our donor shell, but it's in worse state than this, to be fair. So, obviously, I bought Dave a new bike, Carrera. Ladies, no, sorry, girls. Anyway, yeah. Do you want to model that, Dave?
Yes, I know.
This is where I bought 2 bloody left-hand ones or 2 right, and it
Have you checked it?
No.
No, I think you're alright.
Half left.
To the right, to the left. There's the hole.
This one goes like that. No, it don't. Hold on. What are these for now?
These aren't for it. Oh yeah, they are. Look, look. See that there?
But why has it got that box? Yeah, but it twists off the wrong. Hold on.
Go like that, look.
Good job you're here, innit, Dave? No.
Yeah, they do, look. That's how it goes.
Oh, I'm being an idiot putting it too far forward. So, yeah, that goes there. But, like I said, hopefully we're gonna cut this and literally just use this part.
No, I just keep looking at you thinking about MC Hammer. No, who is it? Vanilla Rolls.
Give me the camera a minute.
Hold on.
With your jumper on.
He's turned up in these dungarees and we're trying to keep a straight face on camera.
So, I don't know why I'm laughing, because I'll turn up in a pair next week, you know.
You get that? Yeah? And obviously there, I'm just trying to have a look. Could you see that fitting?
Yeah.
I don't know if that fitting is in that part there on the floor where there's a big hole in it, or in the second part, which we
I
ain't
don't
done.
know, mate.
So I'm just going through options here. To unstitch that, you've got to get all round the back of here, all that off there. Saying that though, you've only got to drill that bit there and you could get to the rest and unstitch that off, and then that will give you access to kind of all this. But see, to cut that we'd have to cut it here, but then if you cut it you end up cutting that, which you could do, but to weld it all back up you're going to have to unstitch that off, I think. Same on this side. We've been a bit more generous with the undersealer here, I think. So we'll have to drill the spots on that, get this panel off. So all I'm saying is, see that there? It's obviously rotted, and obviously we need to come back as far as we can to get rid of this rot, which is probably going to be to here. And obviously cut this here, which is obviously an easy part, undrill the spots, but obviously that's in the way, so we're going to have to take them off on both sides. Obviously save this panel, that'll go back on after we've sorted that bit. I think that's going to be the plan, isn't it, Jack? See what I'm saying there, or am I being daft? I might have to get me a little wheel on this. Wheel of Fortune.
A linish it.
Linish the crocodile.
Oh hello, found a couple more here. You can see them now. I'm going to do them first. As you can see, this is a bit what we don't need. Well, we do need to get it off, but now removing that has given us full access to this part here, because obviously that was covered and obviously there was a void, and obviously for welding that back up we wouldn't be able to get to it to weld it up, so we didn't want to remove that, but we've had to. And if you're replacing the whole leg, because this is what I keep trying to say, you got to undo all that. You got to, obviously this is all spotted into this corner. You'd have to remove that. You'd have to take this cross member on the rear off. To get that off, you've got to unstitch like the inner arch part on the chassis here, and that would just then turn this into an absolute massive job. So we're not gonna, and like I say, this is all fine. If that was all rotten, yeah, you change it, but it's only got, I mean, that hole there, obviously that's where I put through the breaker bar when I was dropping the axle off. So we're gonna like cut it, say here and here where the solid metal is, re-spot it, obviously draw these spots there, drop that off, that section off once we've cut it, trim a new, use that to measure up and measure a new piece, drop that in, spot it back in, weld it back round, and obviously that'd be all that part sorted. I mean, a lot of people would just patch that up like they have done on that other shell. They've just literally put patches over it, but we're going this far into it, we don't want to, we want to get all the rot out. Yeah, I think we'll cut this now and then trim that up and go from there.
Good as new.
Yeah, good as new. So obviously I'll get my pen, right, left hand side. You can't mix them up, but it just saves you pick it up by mistake. Because obviously if I cut this all square, it's going to make it easier when cutting that up, obviously, and it keeps everything.
Are you going to cut that there?
Yeah.
Why are you doing 3 lines?
No, because that's just to measure off.
Oh.
Because I know that
it's flat.
point there, well I know that point's the same as that
Yes.
point over there, and that hole is always going to be, it's like a good point to measure off, if you understand what I mean. I've come in 20mm off that bracket, but I think I'm going to have to more or less go back to that bracket, depending on once I've cut that, to see what this rust is like here. But obviously that bracket, what was here, was covering all this up, and obviously went across there, so I couldn't get in. So that's why that bracket had to be removed.
Do you think we're going to do all this and somebody's going to show us that we didn't have to do all this and we could have been really easy?
I'll go and buy a new car.
Imagine.
I think the reason why they really suffer bad here with rust, it is a common fault on the Sierras to rust here. Obviously you got water and that off the road spraying in these holes and all sorts, but what it is, you got 2 skins. I think what the water does, it gets trapped between the skins and sits there and obviously rusts away. I mean, to be fair, when we get this apart, the inner skin seems better than the outer, so it's as if it sits there, just literally sits there and it rusts out. And obviously it's completely rusted through on that skin there. But the other thing is, obviously, they wax oil inside the holes there to spray wax oil. There's not a lot, there's a bit there, you can see that yellow. But obviously between the skins, obviously that's like wax oil there, but between the skins you won't get the wax oil. So I think it's like sitting between the skins and rusting inside out. That's our theory on it anyway. Well, if I'm wrong, it won't be our theory, it'll be my theory. And I'll be completely wrong and Dave's right. Ain't you, Dave?
Always.
A few moments later. Only this little bit in, look. So why is that little bit though? You know that brand new Cosworth bag you bought?
Yeah.
Do you want to do the honours? Just stick it on there. That's a Ford Sierra. Fully refurbished Ford Sierra Cosworth.
Fully overhauled.
There's a little bit of crud there. Every Ford owner needs to own a dustpan, because you're always sweeping it up.
Yeah, ready me on.
That's obviously got a, we'll have to, that's obviously spotted. And obviously that will fit.
Too long now, I think it comes down here and you get right on it.
Inside of that there. If we can save that, then it's got the original mounting fitting. And luckily it's in good nick. I've literally just clean up. What Dave's gone to do now is a charity football event, which is great. But where will you end up after?
The charity pub. Fall into the charity pub. What's your problem? All goes to a good cause. The more points I have, the better. The more goes to charity.
Is that how it works?
Yeah. Oh, I'm surprised Jack fell into one yesterday, didn't he? Have you done one this weekend?
Oh, so you're making me look bad now?
I'll send you pictures in the group chat of me at St Andrews.
No, but is it the blokes like the missus? If they say to the missus, I've got to go.
I don't know. I just thought
And if they say I'm going to
I'm not
a
going to
charity
lie.
event,
If this charity football event was down Beacon, I probably wouldn't go. Because it's at the Blues. I'm going to go. See you in a bit.
See you there.
So, obviously we've got all this off now. We had to get it out, we had to obviously cut it up and so we can get the grinder in nicely so we didn't cut or damage any of the floor with the grinder. So if we cut this down now to, obviously we took some measurements, cut it, we've obviously cut it bigger than what it needs to be. But obviously replacing this now, we need to get, obviously that's where the rear axle bolts up through this hole. We need to obviously unstitch it off the old one, which is lying around here somewhere. That there is obviously the nut, what is fixed on the inside of that. So that'll be unspot welded off and fixed in there. But what we've got to get right is with this, we can't just go, oh yeah, we'll trim that up and whack it there, because where the rear axle bolts up, that hole might not sit in the correct position. So what we're going to do is, we've got the bracket here, what goes over the top, kind of holds the rear axle. It's like the plate, what the rear axle sits there, this goes over, and obviously the main bolt goes for there, and this is just some little bolts, what bolts back to this section as like a strengthening point for the bolt. So what we're going to do, we're going to just temporarily fix this up and that will give us kind of a guide, because I can use like the axle bolt then to obviously guide that through to check that when we do cut all that and that's in the right position, because what we don't want to do is fix all that on, put this on, and then it's all wrong, it's all out of sync, and then we're going to start again basically. Now I've got obviously the main bolt what bolts through, and I can put that flush, so that will pinpoint me. I mean, I've put a little X on here where I tried to measure out off this side where it was, and obviously you can see that's slightly out. So now we can leave that on, and where we put that now? Here. You can get this. Obviously this is too big to go in, but I can get that now, and you can see, look, right, that's got to move.
That's right though, this side's a problem.
But it won't be, because that metal's this side, it should pull it in. It's got to go that way, hasn't it? Ah, we'll see. Right, we've spent hours now messing about with this. Near enough there, need to do a little bit of tweaking, but like I've said before, if you get non-genuine parts that are copies, obviously they've been copied or moulded off a genuine part, and obviously they come bigger or slightly out. So we've more or less got this there now. So once I place it in, because it sprays out a bit wide at the top, I've got to get in the vice again and just see, like there, needs just pushing in a bit. It just needs a few little bits tweaking, and then obviously we've got this bolt. That's more or less bang on the centre of that. But what I'm going to do is fiddle about with a bit more of this. I can get the actual axle because I've still got this side on, so I can use, obviously, which is down there, get the axle, get it all into position, double check everything before attack and fix that in to make sure everything bolts up, take measurements because I can measure off certain points on the car to check it's all in the correct position square. So I'm going to get all that side sorted and tacked up before I even cut this side apart. As soon as you start cutting apart, you lose obviously the reference point of that bolt, which is, this is why I've kept it in this end. I can at least screw it in, and I can take obviously measurements off certain points of the bodywork what are going to be the same that side, which obviously I've double checked and we're in by whatever it is, fraction of a mil or whatever it's got to be in, absolutely bang on. So yeah, I'm going to get that side finished off, and we should have some parts back for the front end then, because they've gone off to sandblasting. So Jack and Dave will be cracking on with that, and then I can keep just tweaking and fit, because obviously you don't watch me tweaking and fiddling with bloody panels. So, but the only reason, if this was obviously a genuine cut out the car, it would fit perfect, because it's an original pattern part then. So people might say, why are you chopping up a good shell? It isn't a good shell, but you're better off getting good parts off genuine shell, off a genuine shell to use on yours. If you get paint parts, they will work like copied parts, but you've got to just mess about and fiddle with them, and you'll spend hours doing it. It'll work in the end, it'll be right. So yeah, we're gonna go home and have something to eat. Jack needs a poo. So yeah, Dave's obviously at a charity drinking, football event, in the pub somewhere. So yeah, well, we've done a bit on it, haven't we, Jack?
Mm-hmm.
Made a mess, as you do. And yeah.
See you in a bit.
Yeah, see you in a bit. Need that bit.